So thank you for coming back and to the sauna, but it does feel cooler. And there are tables I saw out there in case people want to spread out. There's a bar. It's an even better place to work. But just for some of the new folks, we'll recap a little bit about what we've done here. So it's a little bit of a have a business request, a feature request. We're going to do a little. Let me move to a way of using BDD to express the requirements, and we did some exercises. So behavior-driven development is part of my practice, part of test-first approach instead of test-after. And we chose something called Conway's Game of Life, which is a cellular automata. It's a way to talk about, do cells live or die for each iteration of a simulation, for example. So it looks like this when you actually code it up and build it. And so the group exercises that you missed for the new folks is really what was the system purpose? What's the business purpose? So luckily we are at once working on this, but acting as the subject matter expert or the customer. So it was really up to people to imagine what this might be. So as folks, for example, a serious educational way to explore self-replication in a zombie game, as an example. Maybe simulate traffic with different rules, or disease replication, or a more effective way to test certain diseases that might reduce the cost of testing. Some teams talked about a way of exploring organizational dynamics. All right, so a lot of different ways that people thought of the game of life. But the way to simulate how simple rules can lead to complexity. And some folks even talked about market, like market forces, market dynamics. So the point being, no matter if it's a single issue, a feature set, something larger, a whole product, this is an important first step to understand, why are we here? Why is someone paying us to develop this thing? I mean, you could just say, well, I just come in and I code, or just come in and I do UX. But the more people understand the value of the system we're trying to build, the more everybody can contribute to coming up with the most effective way. Because a lot of times I see an example that I was giving earlier was the feature set was building some kind of graphical reports for metrics. I forget what it was about. Doesn't really matter. But they had different metrics that you could put on the screen. And then someone thought, maybe the product owner, oh, it would be cool to be able to create templates. So you could say we could have a template with these 4 metrics and a different template with these 6 metrics. Meanwhile, they missed all their deadlines. Right? So they expanded the scope. They didn't even deliver the first. Does anybody even care about these reports? I don't know, but we're going to build templates so that if they care about them a lot. And that kind of insanity can be potentially stopped by being a little more reflective on what is the purpose, what are we trying to do, and like I like to say, reducing the gap in time between taking action and getting feedback. They had a giant gap in time. Right? So to me, this is a really important part of the process, especially like the story mapping. You could have put templates on the story map, but hopefully it would have been in release 2 or release 3, or maybe never, because nobody liked the first feature. I don't know. How about treating things like a hypothesis? So the game of life, as you see there, is a little simulation. Starts like this, and when you run it, each tick of the clock, you decide, does a cell live or die? 4 simple rules. I don't know if anybody ever heard of a code retreat, but code retreat is a fun thing to do. And it's literally, we do this every hour. We throw away our code in different teams, and we pretend, and we try to write this code. Oh, let's do a test-driven approach. So it's a funny little exercise, and someone astutely pointed out, pretty simple set of rules, but suddenly it becomes super complex. So Anyway, that's the app. And we asked folks to write the business purpose. I just said what it was. And then we asked for some story maps. So those that are new, you might see things on the table that are story maps for a given user journey. And I dredged up a real world example for a basic ability to modify multiple line items in a quote for selling pumps, configuring pumps. And this is literally what an artifact from my job about 5 or 6 years ago for this particular company. And that's what it looks like. These were the releases. So I see some of you put similar kind of following, much like this. You know, you can decide once you have your user journey to say from login to I purchase something, and you can show different ways to view. Right, these are sort of maybe I log in. Actually, sometimes there's no login. I can let you browse our in this case insurance plans. No login. This is like matter of fact, I just got a notice from our benefits company say today's the deadline to make your selection, or you get whatever it was last year. I'm like, okay, I just set a timer. I mean, it's just set an alarm on my phone to say I got to go do this. I think it's the same. But anyway, these are variations. You could say, what's release 1? Maybe it's not this. Maybe it's just this. Release 2 could be other things. So that's the idea behind doing this kind of a user journey, seeing what sorts of variations you might do. But unfortunately, I don't know, maybe in your world, a lot of times people say do it all. They can't distinguish releases, so to speak. And my other superpower is I can make things super small. And like people talk about MVP, I can be like stupid small because I can always add more. And because of the way I work, you build a rapport with the client. You can show them, maybe we did some mock-ups. We talked about the features that you really want, but the very first thing I deliver is stupid small, just to prove, like someone else was talking about, how do you help management who wants it all and wants you to go faster and doesn't understand sort of the rate at which we deliver. That also helps when you do things like this and you have some kind of agreement. Delivering small, quickly you kind of get some confidence building with the folks that you're working with, including your customer. And you know they'll always ask for, well, aren't you going to do the next thing? Well, yeah. And watch it come. And they can begin to get used to the rate at which you can deliver features. And they become invested in this process. And it's not this giant, we think we know it all and we think we have to build it all. So it's a really, to me, it's an important way. So how about folks that have something you want to share? If you want to, some of you might have something that you can hold up, sorry. Some of you have it on the table. It's a good way to share. Yeah, or tell you what I'll do is you might have some new people at your table, so you can introduce them to your stickies. I will come and bring a piece of paper to everybody, and then you can put your stickies on here, and then we can individually, you can come up and present what you did. And you can also, I'll give you, let's say 10 minutes to see if you need to edit or do more while we're handing these out. Uh-oh. Maybe 4 more. Good luck if they still stick. Thank you. Good idea. We do have scissors. Thank you. See if that's enough, maybe. You want this? You want stickies? You guys have anything that you want this? Oh, you look all. Are you like all new? Nobody left. Like you could steal theirs? No. Man, that's harsh.
We'll listen.
Yeah. Okay.
Soak it in. Thank you.
You need this? Okay. Need anything? So you can, if you want, I have an extra piece of paper. Because we'll do another one. So did it makes it was a kind of a brief catch up, but you kind of see what we're doing from a kind of a customer request to why do you want this to pick.
Rules. If you can maybe give the slide back with the 4 rules,
Oh,
that would be great.
good. About half the people didn't come back, so that's good. It was packed. It was hot as hell.
Imagine actually, even with the windows open. Redo, or is it a continuation?
It's a continuation, yeah. Well, I'll do another. Ask them to do another one, or see how they're gonna present what they did. Yeah, so they kind of did a. Oh yeah.
Helping a commerce provider with and user story mapping is probably going to end up being a part of it. Zombie game,
Yeah.
cell thing.
Yeah. So they got to make up what they thought the system purpose was. I'm like, yeah, it's kind of cool. Like, okay, maybe traffic patterns instead of disease replication instead of live or die. So just said you can't be wrong because we're our own customer, so there is no right or wrong answer here.
Right now, hopefully there aren't that many zombies.
Yeah.
I tried to work out how zombies would work at a cellular level for my fantasy books. I think I've kind of worked it out vaguely based on extremophiles, which don't use oxygen. But yeah, it's interesting. I like the cell approach.
Yeah. It was clever what people thought, and even this was cool to realize, like from the kind of the game perspective, it flips from, oh, check it out, these simple rules can actually create a lot of complexity. So that was an interesting. So yeah.
Well, and possibly it works the other way. The way I've said it is that it's, when you become a zombie in my books, it's not because you're bitten, it's old school zombie. So you die and then you arise again. And it's because as you're dying, your brain, the last part of your brain to die is the center, which is your core urges your brain switches, and that part is the part that remains in dominance.
Oh, right.
And so actually you've taken all the kind of meta complexity and you've reduced it down to simply
Survival, yeah.
in
Yeah.
that way. So it's interesting.
That's a cool thing, yeah. Yeah. Just the,
Didn't want to like interrupt or anything. I just feel like come and check it out.
yeah. Yeah, I took some pictures. Yeah, so that was wide angle, but yeah, it was pretty mobbed.
Nice. Yeah, wow.
Yeah, it was like all,
That's pretty.
yeah, it got really hot. Yeah, yeah. So
Wait, did you have a timer for your talk? Did they have one?
they didn't turn it on.
Yeah, because that's one reason I was like 3 slides back at the end, was because that's why I skipped. I saw
I somehow just got lucky.
held up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yours paced really well.
Yeah.
Can you put the slide with the map? Finish your advice, maybe.
Or like this.
Our goal now is to transform this map to the second map, or not?
No, I think just see if you're ready. I mean,
So we
and
can
then
create
present it.
any map.
Yeah, yeah. Just
So if we wish, we can create this. If we wish, the second.
yeah. We'll do another one then. Yeah. All right. Does everybody have their maps ready to share? Cool. Okay. Who wants to go first? You guys want to go first? So tape it together, yeah. Yeah, normally the first time I did this, it was perfect. No. So go ahead and present. So if one of you wants to be a spokesperson, 2 of you can hold it, 1 can talk, and you can come up here. There you go. And then
Okay, so I've just arrived and I've been
Wow, overachievers. Ship it. Yeah, pretty good. Nice. Any questions? Yeah, so can you think about, well, we'll save this for the next time. Just think about releases and maybe what you might do first, and that can come next. But I like how you presented that. That's a pretty, I'm glad I'm not part of the presenting. Who wants to go next? Oh, uh, don't abandon.
So this is basically a wild idea to simulate flea market
Oh,
using it's a bit a stretch, but let's try it.
yeah.
Using complex behavioral simulation. Okay, so the value would be that we devise a cost-effective way for testing various stable, if stable, stand layout. So this is what we envision. So the themes for the user are to uh, allow access to the system, provide initial self-configuration, apply rules, business rules, rules for the simulation, present results, and prevent access to the system misuse. So in the first release, we did not envision to anybody log into the system. We can use it in a closed group. So the first journey starts with preset self-configuration. So you can start with that and apply single-step compilation. So you can go step by step, manually clicking, right? And after each step, you will be presented with the results. So this will be like a first first journey for the first release. Another one, improved journey would have a login, and another one would be entering building the configuration from file, for example. Further improvement would be providing UI means to enter configuration, so on and so on. As far as the applying rules goes, single step, click by click would be like a multiple step simulation, saying like, okay, run indefinitely or number of steps. And another improvement would be if stable state is reached, stop the simulations. And as far the presentation options, it should be like okay, single step presentation, final result presentation, animated presentation, step by step presentation automatically. When simulation is done, present the options to rerun with another set of data and prevent access misuse. Of course, it is a logout, automated logout, and so on and so on. So this should be like options, and combining those, we get our journeys by incrementing our results. That would be it.
Cool. What do you think? Yeah.
No questions, that's it.
Next.
No problem, just you can do it. We can wait. Ladies first.
Yeah.
So, what we're gonna say? The most important thing for us is speed or velocity. So, there are only 5 steps, and for first release, we need only 3 of them, just to check the idea. This is the first step is setup and or setup the game, and for the first release, it's good enough just
Nice. Nice. Yeah.
Last but not least, so we have a strategy for our own app. First of all, we should get more users. Then we should find the way to to increase retention from them, and then monetize it. So for first release is just check an idea to users want to work with our app. In second release, we want to just improve the user experience and check if they want to rework with that models or not. So we want to add some generated models and add a button to pause that simulation. And buttons to fast forward and rewind to get it faster. And see the stats. So then we can work with community, add some shares, likes, and compare with other users. And in the third release, we can monetize it and add some tasty features to that app. So it's some finally the user can change all initial stats by himself and use some hints what he could find from that model. And then we will add some advertisement to the app.
Nice.
So then we have some more features, but it's we're until that back.
Good.
I think what we would like to do is similar to the Google Maps, to the Apple, and so on. It means we will be competitors. So these big guys would like to develop the navigation for kids, for the next generation, who will live in the zombie apocalypses. What we would like to do, we would like to save our generations. We would like to bring them the way how to come home through the all zombies. That's the reason we first release it's important. Yeah, it's a dramatical thing in the future. First release, login, very important. You know, we would like to get more users and get more money, no unregistered users. Of course, you need to do the configuration. Why you need to do configuration? Because in the future, everywhere we will have the artificial intelligence. It means you don't need to type or to do anything. You will use your chat GPT or something else which help you to go through home. Then as a second release, we need to do kind of generate reports which helps to our kids to find the way home and safety way. And that's the reason we need to analyze all this data. Afterwards, of course, at the beginning, we need some kind of scientist who will analyze all reports and prepare some rules for our guys. Yeah, but afterwards, we will make the loops, and the artificial intelligence will do all this stuff. And of course, start navigation, the easiest part for the kids. That's it.
We don't have such a serious mission like a previous thing. We plan just to create the app for designing creative models, for fun, to develop creativity and something else. In the
think that was everybody, right? Okay, so the next thing is to take whatever whatever you did, and we're going to turn it into, so that's a story map, and the story map gives us sort of the place to start with now defining the behavior you want based on your story map. The template is pretty simple, but you might give a name to the feature. I'm sure most of you have probably seen features. Features have a title, and then they've got descriptions. So what we're going to do instead of free-form text, we have a title for the feature. And as I mentioned earlier, I use Cucumber, but there's similar variants. And the Given-When-Then is a common pattern. So the given is maybe you have some specific setup that you need ahead of time. The when is an action, like when I do something. The then is something appears. So, for example, some of you had configurations. You know, given some configuration exists, when I don't know, hit run, some of you had run, right? Then I see something. And this can be at a high level, like what you have. Some of you might want to play around with the rules, but it's a technique to take a feature, and here's some sample templates, but you can work on the consistency is important. But for this exercise, just put a sentence that is logical about what your feature title is. Later on, I mean, when you actually begin to do this, there's a lot of value in being very consistent in terms of how you write these things. And I won't go into the reason why, but there is. And if you ever want to see something in action, these slides I'm sure will be provided. I'd assume they'll give them out. If not, just hit me up on LinkedIn. I'll give you a PDF or whatever. But this has the game of life coded with BDD and some TDD. But we'll go back to something that is going to look like I'll just give you a quick example. Ding, 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 ding. So you don't need to overcomplicate it. Oh. But this is kind of what a feature looks like. So you can pick from your story maps, give yourself a title. Like users can start the game. It doesn't really matter. Just create a title, create some Given-When-Then, and you can kind of go to town. So if you do one or two, that's cool. And then we'll share again. Are there any questions? So the given is as simple as that. Like again, you know, it's not as hard as it seems, but it takes a while to get used to it. And they can get super specific when you actually do this on real things. You have a question? Yeah. Yeah, what am I in here? Oh, dink. Ah, wow, that's cool. I have to stop. Yeah, it might not be big enough, but yeah, there's like given, and, when, then. So yeah, you can see it can get kind of crazy. Like I don't want to go too crazy, but yeah, you can have tables of stuff. It's a very, very powerful tool, and that's why we're only giving you a little taste of it here. If we had more time, we'd actually do it for fun. But imagine you put things for all kinds of special conditions. You put that in the given. Imagine how well that not only tells the developer precisely this is the conditions, right? Like imagine if you work together with a QA person doing this, it's really powerful. And even because it's kind of like taking the business requirements, translating them into, it still looks like English. A business person, they might kind of cock their head a little bit like a dog, but it's still not that crazy. It's not like you're showing them unit tests, right? So it's, yeah, okay, all right, you guys are weird. You got this kind of funny syntax, but I can recognize my business world there. And I see you have tables of stuff. Like if I showed you, oh boy, shared steps. I didn't. This is my firefighter app. So if I just showed you something dopey, hazardous materials. Who knows what this is? Oh, okay. There you go. That's crazy. Right. So given I add the following hazardous material and it's got properties. So I mean, it can get crazy, or it can be simple. Like you're going to just do something simple. But yeah, it's unambiguous. That's why I love it, because there's real code. It's actually running real code, and it might be filling in a form and populating data, and then asserting. I mean, it sounds dope. Oh, look, I can even add a photo for the hazmat, right? I mean, so again, I don't want to jump too far ahead because it's kind of keep it simple. But anyway, that's what you're going to do now is pick based on part of your story map, whatever you want. Create a feature, try to write given, how you have it set up, when you do something, which is often click. It's the when is the action. And that's the beauty about this. It really is. Then, right, it's what do I expect? This is, if I see this working as a business person, we've agreed, then you're done with your coding, right? It helps contain and show that I'm just doing enough to make this pass. So anyway, any questions? So all you need for this next exercise is some text written, given when then. Yeah, just pick the one that you want to do. Maybe you only have one kind of a scenario. But yeah, one feature. You can go more than that, but yeah. Oh yeah, that's yeah. Look, there's your given, right? Yeah, yeah. So there's some when that occurs, which makes that happen, and then some. Then I should see some. Yeah, easy. Yes.
In terms of feature title, would this be a feature or would this be a feature? This feature, this scenario.
Oh, this could be a feature. In and of itself, you could have. We got to be able to set up the board. Yeah, very much possibly. Yeah, probably. Yeah, yeah, because you could have. You know,
We will test each of them. So
right.
use this
Correct.
even when then for each of them.
Yeah, and just so you know, the cucumber, you can have shared backgrounds, like things that, because a lot of times you end up repeating yourself. Because, given I set it up, then this happens. Given I set it up, then I can do that, right? But don't worry about that. Just, yeah, you kind of have a couple of, probably a few different features, a couple of variations, but you would want each one separate scenarios.
But the scenarios could also be some negative stuff, right? If I don't choose anything.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Then something. Yeah, and you can say nothing happens, or you could say some default happens. Yeah. And that, but that's a scenario, right? It doesn't. The point is, it doesn't happen by accident. You specify it in this process, so it's very clear. Oop. Pardon me. Oop. That's okay. Good. Thank you. You have any questions?
Is it okay to put the or statement in then? So for example, if all the steps are used or all the cells are dead,
Well, if you saw up there, I kind of had like a grid shown. Like you could eventually get to here because you would specify the details of given this set of grids.
given the all cells, because user can select the cells he wants. So given, and he can select the number of steps he wants to see. And then he starts the button, and then he will see the animation either until all the steps are done, or all cells are dead.
Yeah, so in this mode, you would be, there would be like two scenarios, and you would be really specific about you set the board up like this, and you press the button, and they're all dead. Or, so you would be super specific.
This would be super specific, and then I would have this setup for one and the other setup for the other.
Exactly. Yeah.
Should be given if not all cells are dead, and if all cells are dead, start.
Right. Yeah, so you'd get really specific. Yeah. That's the beauty of it. It forces you to be really explicit. You know, like if I see this pattern and I run the simulation even one time, I should see this pattern. So you kind of said, yeah, live or dead. That's a big pattern, but yeah.
I mean more specific.
Right. And especially when you try to hit the rules. Okay, because rule number one, let me create some test that proves rule number one's working. Let me create a test that proves, yeah, so that's, eventually that's what's in the GitHub repo is, yeah, but that's the right idea. And you turn that into two. So, yeah, you caught up or,
Kind of, but I'm not sure if we understood the latest task. So we did kind of a very quick story map of an app that's
oh, okay, like real estate, yeah,
real estate.
okay.
So what would actually be the task here? To just get one of the features and walk through.
Yeah, like maybe what is what would be what a user's going to do with the minimum of, you know, assuming this is in place, you know, given something's in there in the database, and you know they log in or whatever, yeah, yeah, and, you know, so it'd be
This is not the MVP. This is like maybe this is even if these are releases, then this would come later. So at first, user, the builder can access the app and see the land.
yeah. So just make a given when then, you know, some kind of maybe it's just builder can view the properties. I mean, right? It could be because that's a common feature, right? I turn it on, I can see something. Later on, maybe I'm an admin and I can edit, you know. But so yeah, it can be that simple. And a lot of times there are that simple. Literally, like that. I can add a hazardous material and then I can see it. Yeah, no shit, right? I mean, that's kind of what we do. Like tomorrow we can come into work and it's still there, right? And we can still see it. That's what I do, Mom. Yeah, it's stuff lasts from day to day. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Right. That could be another feature to be able to update. Right. You know, given you know, then you have logins and now, yeah. So yeah, just simple. How you guys doing?
We are just we are finished. We need then, but I think that will be the game will start.
Hey, no laughing. This is serious.
No, we're just adding functionality to export to Excel because every application has to have that.
That's true. Yeah. Right. Just say it. Doesn't matter. Yeah. Just be slightly random and sometimes wrong.
They finish their, let's say, creative part. They think this is just do it.
Yeah. Perfect.
Easy and lazy.
Perfect. Like I said. Right? I mean, you got to start somewhere. And it's not on, that's actually, I mean, whatever I showed with the hazardous material was kind of, I can add it and then I can see it. Yeah, I mean, it's,
We just now discussing I think it's a very important point. It means when we are starting with the BDD, yeah, with the story mapping maybe could be started maybe on the business side, business analytics.
oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And then it could be, like you said, at first it will be just highlighted things, or maybe child categories, what should be done, and then the team will start to define it.
Correct. That's how I work with teams is you start the conversation. Now I like to involve as many people as possible, but you're right. You work with the subject matter experts or the business people to kind of get at, well, all right, what are we here for? What's are some of the first requirements? And then we start mapping them out. And then you can begin to talk about releases. Like, you sure you need that? You know, and then you can kind of, like you said, be lazy because you can say, well, let's just do the first one. And now we can do BDD for that because I like to put, like I would put that in a Jira issue, just like that. That's what we want. Now, and you can, a lot of times we work together with the business and some of the devs in the room or the product people, and you help build those together.
Have you also worked within the scaled agile environment, like the safe or less?
I try not to, no.
Because I'm just working with the less and safe, and what I can see where it could be implemented, for example, the high level stuff on the business solution teams. We have the kind of business solution teams, and
Yeah.
so the business solutions that we have, it's kind of, in business solution, like you said, the subject matter experts in business who can just drive together.
And quality, usually in quality, people have a different mindset too, because they can, you know, this is simple, but when it starts getting a little more complex, they can insert some of their wisdom because they don't think like I do, right? Like you're evil. Why would you think like that? Right? Because they're devious. They think of ways that it won't work, you know, because you can put those in too. Like when something fails, what do I expect? Just for it to tilt and show me a screen of crap or some graceful, so you know, those become features too, where we have graceful ways to show an error or a bug.
For me, this is process looks like the minimization of the costs.
To me, it is because number one, you get to do like what you did and decide where do you draw the line of, all right, we're just going to do this first, and you get to be really specific because these turn into very non-ambiguous, right? I mean, behind the scenes, you can kind of see this is code. So it turns into code. It's really clever. It's brilliant. And so it's really like you can't run away from. It's got to do something. It's not, there's no fuzzy, like maybe you get the right answer. No, I really expect to see zebra on the page.
I understand this is the part is really understandable for the IT guys, the programmers, developers. But the question is now on the business side, how to explain the management because this costs a lot of time.
But does it? Because someone's writing the Jira issue anyway. And a lot of times they're putting in all kinds of text and prose, words and words and words, and then the developer has to try to figure out, oh, right?
Translation from the business in IT is easier with such process.
Correct. It's much faster. And if you combine it with a domain model that we all agree upon, pretty soon everybody's using the same terms, which hopefully are the business. Combine it with some UX, some UI design. You combine it with some really clear English. I don't have to do much. A little bit of modeling. Oh, we should probably be done. Okay. Pencils down or pens down. Thank you. Time check. I got all day. Yeah. Okay. So, Alexi pointed out some awesome things. You want to tell everybody, or you want me to say what you say?
We just finalized that the thing is what we have done right now. Yeah, it's really easy and understandable for developers. Do we have developers in the room? What do you think about this BDD at the moment?
I wish all my requirements were like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that's
Unambiguous.
the developers would like to have the requirements like it is written here. Yeah, because it's easy, it is structural, it's organized in a structural way. Yeah, the thing is now only how bring the business to think on that in such a way, like the developers will understand everything. Yeah, because like already John said that most of the time we're using Confluence, we're using a Jira, and yeah, we're using the story. Like I would like to do blah blah blah. Yeah, but at the end of the day, we have the huge document. We will have a lot of stuff is written inside, and the developer should try to pick up from a different part. Yeah, what should be in real life implemented, and this is cost also a lot of time. That was
Yeah, so this makes it very clear. And it's something, you're not going to do it right or correctly right away. Something to work on, but it does, to your point, it's really crystal clear if you write something like this, especially if you work. I will say sometimes ways to do this, you just do it, right? So you're talking with the business about this feature, what we want to do, and you might just start sketching it this way. You don't need to tell them what you're doing. A lot of times I would do that. I start making domain models. They hear that they say something, and I do blink. Oh, they'll see. Oh, that was what I just said. They'll say something else, and I might put another thing. So sometimes you don't need to explain. You just do it, and then pretty soon they'll go, "Oh, that's what I said, just in a different way." Oh, all right. Like I said, you guys are weird, but okay. And they'll see progress. You don't need to ask permission. You can just start writing things that way. So who wants to? Well, why don't you say what your feature was? Yeah, you can just read it. Yeah, or show. I mean, it's hard to see, but
should I read everything or
just what you wrote. That's awesome.
I just took from our side the run configuration and generate report. Then kids run their configurations and create reports. This is our feature. Scenario is
Well, just say the scenario. Just say each piece.
start configuration part. Given the application is pre-configured, when the kid started application, the report will be generated.
Okay. Right. Yeah. So that'll make something happen in the system. If you gave that to me, and we got nothing, I'm going to start with. I got something to start with. How about this table? Okay, did everyone hear that? Pretty much like how to log into something, right? Yeah. The cool thing about Cucumber that I learned, the first one's really hard because you have to do everything, right? Nothing exists. But imagine the very next thing that you do. Well, you never have to write that login again. You just say, given I'm logged in. boom, and it runs all that same crap underneath. So the real amazing thing that I learned was pretty soon you realize it just starts getting easier and easier because it's additive. Oh, I'm already on that page. Oh, now I can click on that and this thing shows up, right? I mean, it's hard at first, then it gets easier. Okay, next. Let me take a picture here. Just to prove you guys did your homework. Next. Anybody? Okay, now they got the excuses coming.
You already said that this is a given when then format, so yeah. So, for example, I just read this from here. So, given that grid is already preset with cells, when running single-step calculation, automatically the result should be.
So given a preset grid, when they run a single, when you yeah, okay, I get it. There's an arrow on a little word, which is, you know, in the beginning you might say click on a button. In the end, you'll learn you just say something like when they start, and let the details be hidden, because someday it might be like I blink at the thing or I do this. What's the thing on, I don't know, maybe the commercials haven't got here yet. Some stupid watch that you do this and it does something. So the intent is I start the application, then you show the final results. Yeah, it's not that hard. Next.
Show tutorial. Given the game is started, when user presses the button show tutorial somewhere in the menu, then tutorial starts. Easy peasy. The second scenario is show no more. Given the game is started for the first time and tutorial is already on screen automatically, when user presses show no more, the tutorial hides. Easy.
Bravo. Easy, right? And they even the way that you can't see it, but the way they made their cards borrows from the previous step, right? I mean, it shows just the deltas, the differences you need to make us.
And I have a question. Do we need to write user starts the game in a when point, or it's enough that we write it in given that game starts?
Oh, well, I would probably choose, if it's the last action, that then something happens, I make that the when. So the thing doesn't happen until maybe you start the game. So it could be just one thing, and I might call it a when. Then other things might be, it might turn into a given. Given the game's already started, when I hit stop, it stops, right? So it's, you learn that sort of thing as you do more and more of these. Next.
Thanks. Well, this is pretty similar with the team in front. So we have the two situations. So given the specific cell combination is selected, and we have the exact number of steps. When the start button is clicked, there will be no then there will be no living cells at the end. And then the other stuff is given the specific cell combination, so the other combination is selected, and specific steps are selected. Once the start button is clicked, there will be specific, again, cell combination in the screen.
So that's a little deeper, but at some point you have to write things like that. Given this kind of a setup with blocks filled in, if I run the simulation, at least one or two clicks, poof, what does it look like next? Maybe they're all dead, right? So that's getting into the rules. Eventually you'll have to do that. Next.
Okay, so we have also some kind of basic scenario, but the feeling is we could discuss this for hours.
Yeah.
So we have one scenario. We have two scenarios actually. The first one is choosing the pre-filled preset, and that is the name, and the given is that we choose the pre-filled preset button. Even up is configured. Yeah, even up is configured. then game will be run. And then we have the opposite, and that is given is the same. And then when user does not select preset, all buttons will be disabled.
Cool.
These are two.
Yeah.
Like rules.
And you can check those. Right. The real estate department. You ready? They're the newcomers. They're going to, you know.
I mean, we have one simple and one we're struggling with. The simple one is login. Okay, so the simple one is given that I'm a builder user. When I log in, then I can see a list of all the properties.
Good.
Yeah.
That's a real common feature, right? The system works. You don't even have to, you know, you just preload it with data and you should see something. Yeah. But it is that simple to start. And you just keep going, right? Yeah. Anybody, did I miss anybody? I think. All right. I don't know, I think probably 5 minutes over. But it's a coffee break, isn't it? Coffee break now. So, well, I hope that you got something out of this crazy world of BDD. And if you want more help, just hit me up on LinkedIn and we can have some fun and do some things in your world. But like I said, I would never do any software project without doing BDD and TDD. Just not happening. Your mileage may vary, but yeah. So thank you very much. Great job. Yeah.